Good evening, Warriors, and welcome in to an early Christmas break edition of the R&R Sports Report because schedules and none of them work the way we expect them to. I am Randy Isbell. That's Robert Hagan, and Robert, man, what's up?
You're exactly right. I don't know if you looked at your schedule. I looked at mine. Mine this month looks crazy. This is just the rest of December. So trying to figure out when and where we're going to be. You and I go in different directions. It is so crazy right now.
It's a mess. It's a total mess, and we will try to keep everyone up to date as far as when we will do the show. We're still planning on doing it every single week. It's just it won't always be on a Tuesday. That'll be the case next week. We're looking at a possible late Wednesday because
or
that's
we're
about
gonna have
it.
or depending on your Wednesday, maybe our guest tonight, I'll have to chat with him here after a bit. Maybe I can get a late entry into work. Maybe we do a 4:00 show next Wednesday. So Wednesday, 4 to 6. So we'll have to see.
We'll see how all that goes. Who knows? The week after that, on the 21st, looks like it will be on a Tuesday. But schedules love to change. The Lewiston schedule has changed 4 times on me in the last week. So we will see how that goes. And then the Avista tournament is after Christmas. And I don't know. I know the Lewiston teams play the first 2 games on Tuesday. The Clarkston teams play the last 2 games on Tuesday. And I don't know if we're going to try to do the show in between or if we're going to do it at midnight or what. We will see how any of this goes.
Hence, this is what I have been working on. I have been working on the Avista bracket. I'm holding one of them in my hand as the last 2 nights. That's what I have been working on. So hoping to get, if he's listening, he might be already hoping to get maybe Mike Tatko on one of the guys for sponsors the Avista tournament. So hopefully we can get him on next week, talk a little basketball with him, maybe some Idaho officiating stuff, and go from there. So hopefully that's the game plan.
After yesterday, all I'm going to say about the Avista tournament is hashtag let Colfax play.
Code. Let me tell you.
I want to see Colfax in this tournament with what went down with them and Clarkston yesterday.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, but when I work with Pat Sabota, and when Pat makes a comment and says, if those guys are not the state champions in their division, there's something wrong with the state.
And I talked to the boys basketball coach yesterday, and he was just raving about the entire program of Colfax, and that seemed to be a very, very fantastic game. He gave a sly shout out to you.
Just a little bit?
That he was going to flip you crap about it whenever he saw you next. But and he really needs to get on this show. But we'll get there. But again, schedules and who knows.
We've been trying to get him on here for a while.
He semi-blames you for all of the COVID issues that Clarkson's going through.
Not me. I've been, knock on wood, I have not had... you know me, I got isolated last year right around Halloween and I tested negative, so I haven't come down with the Rona, so that's a big thing. So that's plus for me.
No Rona for me, but I got a cold from hell that hit me about the third quarter of the girls' basketball game for the Bengals yesterday and has taken me completely out of commission. I had like 4 or 5 things I needed to do today, and I don't know if I left the chair more than 3 times.
I was just saying, I texted you a couple of times. It just was like short, sweet. So I figured, he must be in class or he was been extremely busy. But I think you might have been sleeping it off.
Half asleep in the chair. 100% half asleep in the chair. So the schedule for the rest of this month and most likely most of January is going to be up in the air. It's all going to be online now, as we were going to hit Christmas break, but we're doing it early because I had Lewiston basketball to call yesterday. So it's going to be online until late January, early February, and that's when we're really going to start hitting the baseball, and the spring sports are going to start rolling in. I know Alicia's already starting to set up things for that. Unfortunately, I don't know what my schedule is for any of that stuff right now, so we will make that work. But not only are those schedules completely messed up, the schedule for this show is completely messed up because our guest is an eager beaver, and he wanted on the show. So, Robert, introduce our guest, sir.
Hey, what's funny is this guy's going through the same issues that we are. He's got things going on with the funk, as he was calling it earlier. We are proud to welcome in Mr. Corey Thivierge, Clarkston High School wrestling coach. And
how's it going?
Corey, good. How are you doing, sir?
Good.
So, Corey, do you got a TV on back there?
Yeah, I've turned it off right now.
Okay, perfect.
There we go.
Yeah. You must be watching something really good tonight, huh?
Moscow's wrestling team.
Moscow's wrestling team. So we're going to start off right there, Corey, and I hate to bring it up, but you let us know you're missing one of your matches tonight. You guys were supposed to play up at Colfax, and your team is down with the funk.
Yes, we are down with the funk right now. We're for tonight and for Saturday's tournament. We pulled out of both.
I would play the song right now, but we post this on YouTube, and I don't want the legal problems.
So you said right now, currently out of your roster, and I feel bad because I didn't end up forwarding that to Mr.
We got 20. We got 20 kids on the team. 20 kids on the team, and only 7, all but 7 of them. 7 of them are cleared from the funk. Everybody else has it.
So what does that look like entails for tournaments? I know your tournaments are all
have a home
time-wise.
Yeah, we have a home duel next Wednesday, and I should have everybody back by then.
So we did talk a little bit about that. We'll get into those things here in a few minutes, but let everybody know this is your first year as the head man there in Clarkston. So
yes.
Congratulations, taking over
Thanks.
For Coach Dwayne Benton. But you're no stranger to the program.
No stranger to the program. A lot of these kids I have on the team right now, I've coached with them since they were 4 or 5 years old. So it's a lot of my sophomores right now. I've had them since they were 4 or 5. We have 20 kids on the team. About 12 of them are sophomores. So we're really young.
So talking about your coaching a little bit, you did have a couple years up with me up at the middle school coaching at Lincoln Middle School. But I don't think that was your baby. I think your baby was there at the Hell's Canyon. Talk a little bit about the Hell's Canyon Wrestling Club.
Oh, it was right now, obviously, it's shut down because of COVID. But it started when I started volunteering down there and helping out, and then took over the club about the time my son was 5 years old, and he's a sophomore now. And we helped run it and coach it until he hit the junior high. And then obviously I went to the junior high with most of the kids that I had in the club. Most of our club kids right now have moved over to Lewison's club team because they're able to have it, which is unfortunate, but it's great because they're still getting to wrestle.
Right. So you're pretty familiar with wrestling. It runs in your blood. You started quite early. Talk about your early years wrestling for Lincoln and the high school.
Well, it all started when my Uncle Robbie was in high school in the late 80s.
Now don't say that because he's not that much older than I am. Now you're putting a date to this. And Corey is talking about Robbie Burger. If anybody knows Robbie Burger, great wrestler here in the Valley.
1973 was the date, and Robert was a senior in high school. No, I don't know.
Not quite yet.
No, it all started back then, and just watching him wrestle got me and my brother into it, and it hasn't stopped since. And my brother is currently the head coach at Montana State Northern.
That's what I was going to just say. You know, both of you guys coaching one at a college level, one at a high school level. Have you guys kind of gotten to the thing of who's the better coach yet?
No. I'm obviously the older one, so we don't even have to go there.
Obviously, we can tell by the gray in your beard.
Yes, yes. They tried to get into that too a while back. They tried to get into that a while back on who was the better wrestler, and it's always the older brother.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I don't want to see them have a coach off. I just want to see them wrestle.
Yeah. He might win right now.
There you go. You did have a couple of surgeries here over the last few weeks. So how is that dealing with coaching style? Because if you're like me, coaching football, you like to be in there interacting with these kids, and wrestling has to be tough.
It's really tough on me. But thankfully, I have 2 really good assistant coaches and a whole bunch of volunteers that come in and help that I rely on. Colby Marsh, Dusty Funderburg, they're my assistants. And right now they're doing the brunt of the work. I'm just taking care of all the paperwork and making kids run.
That's how it normally happens. So
yeah, head coach has got a lot of paperwork. I didn't realize how much. So
you did talk a little bit, you did wrestle for Clarkston and Lincoln and all that. Who were a couple of your role models growing up? I mean, coaches that you looked up to. You did talk about Robbie being that guy that got you involved, but
he was Robbie was actually my coach in junior high. My uncle was, and then my very first year, my freshman year in high school, was Dan Randall's was his first year. And if I have to say that I look up to anybody as a coach, it's going to be Dan Randall's. And I'm trying to run the program the same way he did. Get that culture back.
Right. And I don't think Dan's not coaching anymore. I think, didn't he do a little bit of work at Osoton? I'm not sure.
He did do a little bit of work at Osoton, and he comes up to the program now and helps out when he has time. We get him up in the room every once in a while. So that's exciting.
You brought up bringing the culture back. What does that entail?
Oh, the discipline. The discipline.
So take a look at your screen there, Corey.
I see it.
One of our friends at Great Denny Grub.
Thank you, Denny. He used to be my mailman.
Love it.
Yeah. So you did talk about your roster a minute ago.
Yeah.
There, you've got 7 guys that are in currently.
Yes.
But a large roster. Who do we need to watch and take and look out for in this 21-22 season?
Dawson Bailey. We just wrestled at the Deer Park tournament this last weekend, and I took close to a full roster up there. Every weight class up there had 1 or 2-time state champions in it. And Dawson Bailey wrestled the best I've seen him wrestle in a long time. He actually wrestled a kid that placed at the Junior Worlds and lost 7-6, and was actually winning the match until the end of the match. And then he went on to wrestle. His first match of the tournament was against a kid that won the end of the year tournament last year, and Dawson beat him up pretty bad. And he had that Junior World kid and lost 7-6, and then he wrestled another state champion that he beat, and then he lost to a 2-time state champion in the consolation. So Dawson is the one I watch out for. Obviously, my son, and then Jonah McCamey, our 182-pounder. I look forward to taking him to state this year too.
Looking at the roster and only carrying 3 seniors this year is just the numbers on the seniors just that good. But we do look at the rest of the roster. It looks like you've got a lot of youth there with that big class of sophomores. Yes.
We actually had a kid move in from Oregon named Austin Turner. I'm looking forward to see what he can do. He is a sophomore. He is our starting 145-pounder. And it'll be exciting. I can't wait.
So one big thing I see looking at it, and just because I'll get to come down and work a few of the home matches. Right now there was scheduled for 3. Now I see one of them has changed for next week is now changed to an away game. Can you fill us in with the coach?
It's the COVID thing in Moscow coming to Washington to wrestle. It's it's not just wrestling, it's every sport. Idaho that comes into Washington to compete, they have to be COVID tested, and some of the schools aren't wanting to do that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So yeah,
lot
we
of
lost.
schedules getting changed.
Yeah, we lost one home duel, but we also picked up a home duel at the end of January against East Valley.
Better add that to my calendar because I don't think I have that one on my calendar quite yet.
We wrestled Lewiston January 26th and East Valley January 27th.
Okay. So that's good to know because right now I had this just next Wednesday is going to be the first meet. And I think the pool against Pullman, right?
Against Pullman, yes. So Pullman's actually got a good team. A lot of those kids on Pullman's team, I've been around for several years through little guys, and all of those kids are right now starting to hit high school. So it's going to be some fun competition.
All right.
All right. Before we get into the fun questions, we just got to bring it up.
Fun questions.
What's happened to your team, sir?
What do you mean, my
Seahawks?
team?
What's happened to the Seahawks? I mean,
they gave the Jets. They're giving the Jets a top 5 pick.
Well, top 6 at the moment. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
And it's going to get worse because if you guys lose to Houston on Sunday,
yes,
nobody should show up the following week, I think. But,
I agree.
I mean, as much as I'm absolutely loving it that the Jets right now have 2 top 6 picks because the Jets are garbage too. But as a Jets fan, I'm used to it. It's been a few years that a Seahawks fan has been used to being garbage. It's been what?
Yes, it's
15 years or so?
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Probably. Not good. Not good at all. Obviously you still watch the games, and me wanting to be their coach, I try to do what, try to coach them up, and it's not happening. They don't listen to me. Granted, they can't hear me through the TV, but it's a tough season.
Listen, I was really harsh.
I don't want to hear about it anymore. What?
I was really harsh on them last week, and I said, we got to clear everybody out. We got to get them gone. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. I really think they should probably give that safety back to the Jets and get their pick back.
It's not happening. He's actually out for the year, too. I saw that nugget today.
Yes. Yeah. And I hate to say it, but it would be nice to see a coaching change. I love Pete Carroll, but I think it's time. I think it's honestly time for him to go. Probably not a popular opinion, but it is.
In a bit. Who would you want in his stead?
Boy, I don't know.
Just for the memes, I want Mike Leach to end up as a Seattle Seahawks coach. Just for the press conferences. It'd be great.
You know who I want for a quarterback? You ready?
Geno Smith.
Nope.
No.
Minshew. That'd be great.
Of course.
Minshew Mania to Seattle, huh?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great?
That's how you get Leach back. Say, hey, come
exactly.
Back and Coach Minshew. It'd be fantastic.
Be interesting to see what happens with that one. So
it's going to be very interesting. I think there'll be some big changes for the Seahawks this offseason.
Yeah.
All right, Randy, do you want to ask him the questions, or do you want?
Now do the questions. You can do the word association. So we always ask. We always end the interviews with the most hard-hitting questions of all time. Actually, I like this first one because it is kind of hard-hitting, and you get some interesting insights on people. But if you had a show like this, if you had your own talk show, who would you want to be your first guest?
My brother.
See, you get the sentimental stuff. It's like some people go celebrities, and then you get all the sentimental stuff. I like it. Which household chore do you dread the most, or you just make your kids do it?
I was to say, don't lie, because we can ask Jamie this question.
Oh, which household chore do I dread the most? Cleaning up after the dogs. So that goes to Bodie.
Yeah. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Cheating.
What is one important skill every person should master?
Oh. I don't know. Don't know.
It's a good one. All right. This question has become a staple in the quick questions thing. Thanks to Kevin Nolette for taking over the chat like a month or two ago. Are you a big fan of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Love them.
What's the ratio, peanut butter to jelly? It's very important.
Oh no. See, I'm a big jelly fan, so I just barely put any peanut butter on there and a lot of jelly.
Looking for a mess.
It's probably 70-30.
There you
Wow.
go.
I think you're the first one that's went the opposite direction.
Oh, really?
I think everybody's either been 50-50 or more peanut butter. That's crazy.
Huh.
All right. Other than the Seahawks, who's your favorite sports team?
Other than the Seahawks.
Yeah, because that's the obvious answer, and we don't like obvious answers on this show.
That's a very obvious answer.
And you can go any range on that. You could go college, you can go NHL, you can go MLB, high school, whatever you want to go.
I'm going to say the Michigan Wolverines.
Are they going to win it all this year?
They have a chance. They have a very good chance.
And then I'll change this up just to bring it closer to home for how the three of us usually will hang out. Who's your favorite bowler in the Valley?
You know,
I'm going to say Dave Doofenberg.
He doesn't listen. You don't need to kiss his butt.
I don't know. Tony's already chimed in about it.
I know. I seen Tony's comment.
We were worried about the expletives
Yes.
We know your bowling style.
Yes, you do.
All right, so we're gonna do.
I like all of them though. I like Dave. I like Brett. I like Robert. I like all you guys. It's fun bowling with you guys. It sucks that I'm out because of shoulder surgery, but hopefully I'll be back next year.
There you go.
Cross our fingers. September
Yes.
comes along. We got you on bowling. All right, we're going to play a little word association with you. I'm going to give you a couple of names. Just first 1 or 2 words to describe this person. First off, and I'm putting this one right up top. I'm impressed with their senior Kayla Rice.
Amazing. I like her. I really like her a lot. She's awesome.
All right. How about the McCamey brothers?
Hard-headed.
I think that
Yep.
from the junior high all the way down to the high school.
Yep.
All right. This guy, how about Braden Jared?
Hardest worker. That guy's got he is actually on a mission to get down to 220 by the end of the season to wrestle 220 for us. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be.
All right. How about, and I know I'm going to say this guy, and for me, I already have the word. I'm going to say the jokester, and you know who I'm talking about, Carson Ash.
Oh, he is talented.
Good guy. If you ever watch him play football, he did play football for the Bantams too.
Yes.
All right, Dawson Bailey.
He's Dawson Bailey. Like my son.
Gotcha. And saying that, I'm throwing this in there. I know he's not there right now. He's a driver's ed tonight, but I'm going to throw him out there. I'm throwing your kid out there, Bodie Thivierge.
Just like his dad. Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could say it's just like he's just like the McCameys, a little hard-headed.
There you go. And the toughest one of them all, Corey Thivierge.
I don't know what you want me to say. Coach. I've always wanted to be a coach, so I think I'm going to be a coach for a long time.
It's awesome.
Yep. I hope that is very true. I hope you're on the program and there for a lot of years. So.
And I do want to say I have 2 amazing assistants also. I wouldn't be able to do this without them.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we can't do much of anything without our assistants and all that. So, which is awesome that you give them recognition for what they do. So, great job. So, first match next Wednesday. Pullman at Clarkston High School at Kramer Gym. come out. And again, we're looking and watching Bodie. We're watching Braden. We're watching Dawson Bailey.
Jonah, Jordan.
It's going to be
Jonah and Jordan.
Yeah. It's going to be a great season for Clarkston High School Bantams. And congratulations on your first season. I hope it's a great one. And we do appreciate you taking time to jump on here and on the show tonight.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Corey.
Yep.
All right. That's Corey Thivierge, Clarkston High School wrestling coach. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, let him get back to watching the Moscow wrestling.
So you'll have to give us little tips of what's going on afterwards. So, do you think he was insightful enough about his Seahawks? I think he didn't want to really say what he wanted to say.
He's like me with most Jets seasons, where it's like, all right, we're done. Let's move on to whatever sport we got. Which unfortunately, I usually go, all right, let's move on to baseball season. But I'm just starting to wonder if we will even have one of those. We will, but.
I think his idea of having Minshew a possibility. I mean, that would be kind of makes you wonder. I mean, he fed into what's happening up in the Pacific Northwest when he moved up here from down south. Corey might be onto something. I don't know.
Listen, everyone's overreacting about what Minshew did on Sunday. I heard it at the Tribune yesterday. Everyone's like, "Oh, look, there's now a quarterback controversy in Philadelphia." Look at the defense that Minshew was playing. All right. As a Jets fan, it's one of the worst defenses in the last 10 years. Like they have so much work to do. I knew as far as like Jets defense was going to be this year, it was going to be a work in progress. Like they had no secondary coming in. It was all young pieces and just hoping that something clicked, and nothing has clicked yet. There's a couple like Michael Carter II is looking pretty good. But other than that, it's just they need to blitz more to disrupt the quarterback, or they're screwed. Like if you can't get to the quarterback, if you're the Jets, it's the secondary has zero chance, and Minshew was able to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the NFL. We're going there already, but all right, Homer headlines. I'll just start because we already kind of talked about it. Strong start, but missed the landing. Jets, who how many times did we say earlier this year had not scored in the first quarter? It took them 8 weeks, I think, to finally put points up in the first quarter. Just a slow starting team. Scored 3 times on their first 3 possessions. Looked like a big shootout between the Jets and the Eagles. And then the Jets forgot about the shootout part, and the Eagles continued. And it just kind of fell off and went away, and that's how it goes. But I liked what I saw. Sad that Corey Davis is now basically out for the season. It's continues to be an issue for every team. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, the Jets would be so much better if these go. I just wanted to see healthy pieces for Zach Wilson. And then obviously you want Zach Wilson to be healthy on top of it, but it's another great reason why the Seahawks are struggling and the Jets right now with 2 top 6 picks. Because I would not be surprised if they went defense with those 2 picks, and they need to. I'm liking what I'm seeing with the offense. It will grow. It will get better. It's the defense that right now just needs to step it up. But you, sir, go for 2 or no go for 2?
I was hoping you would stay away from that question. I don't like it. I mean, for me, if I was the coach, I would have kicked the field goal. We were within 30 seconds. You know, I listened to Harbaugh's comments saying, yeah, we're down defensive backs. We got to go for it for the win right there. Did they have the perfect play call? Yes. Bad thing is they came out in the same formation and they started running the play before the timeout got called, and you saw what the run they were going to do, and they come back out and they run the exact same thing.
But it's still tricked the defense. It's just the connection wasn't there between Jackson and Andrews, or they win that game. I told you Sunday night when we bowled that I like the decision on the road to do that because you're down to a coin flip, but it was a lower scoring game. So you got to think possibly we can make the stop. But when you look at the numbers, because I that was a game that was kind of in the background. Hate to say it, I was watching far more of the Seahawks 49ers because that was just what was on the red zone more because there was points being scored in that game. But you look, the Steelers scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. So it's maybe Harbaugh was onto something where they just weren't able to stop something. But
yeah, Eric's got it right on the head.
Yep.
Yeah, one extra split second is different. A little bit leading him to the pylon a little bit better. Maybe Lamar to get the. I mean, there's lots of what ifs, but I mean,
it honestly, it shows you how tough it is to be a coach like Corey, because you make a decision, and if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't work, that was the biggest bonehead move you've ever made, and it's all whether it works out or not. I mean, right. I like the gutsiness of it, and if you can just get those couple yards, then that's fantastic. But just off by that much.
100%. But it boils down to the same thing you just said earlier too. You talking about New York, Baltimore's still struggling to score in the first quarter. I mean, another game where they scored 0 points in the first quarter. They're just failing to score. But my headline's got to be, we need protection. I mean, you look at it as they don't have a line, and their line getting hurt. Villanueva getting, you would have thought he would have played a little bit better. He struggled a little bit, had a few penalties, and that's the big thing. They're not giving Lamar enough time. You look at the stats of that. I think Lamar ends up getting sacked. I want to say he got sacked like 7 times for loss. I don't have that up on my window tonight, but
7 times for 34 yards.
Yeah. So if they can't protect him, even with him being able to run, they were doing exactly what they should. They were pinching in and crushing the pocket on the outside in and forcing him to take a step up. And that's when they were getting the sacks every time. You look at every one of his scrambles, Lamar was trying to take a step forward, and the pocket just collapsed, from the outside in. Perfect coaching by Pittsburgh. And so hats off to them. Do I chance it? Yeah. But we got to get better. We got to give them a little bit more time.
So we're looking at, we're on the last week of byes this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we got 5 weeks left.
Yep.
It's weird having this 18th week. It's messing up my math. And the playoffs right now for both the AFC and NFC are so crowded. Like, I complain about it in our bowling league because everyone seems to have the same record in that one. But you look at the pros for the actual football, it's the same way. So I'm going to go through some teams that right now are on the outside looking in. And I want you to tell me, give me your confidence level of them making the playoffs. 1 meaning absolutely zero chance, 10 meaning absolutely they're getting in. Okay, we'll start with the AFC and we'll go bottom to top.
Okay.
Miami Dolphins winning 5 straight, now 6-7.
Wow, 5 straight, 6-7. I could see them possibly making it there. I think it all depends on how strong that AFC West stays, because you got a few teams that are on the outside in a couple of different divisions that I think are a little bit better. So,
good thing for Miami, they're on a bye week this week. Then they get the Jets, which they're going to win that game, and I'm going to have to wear the stupid Miami Dolphin hat at bowling again. That's what's going to happen. Then they get the Saints, who are completely falling apart. Then you get the Titans, which could that possibly be the week that Derrick Henry comes back?
There's maybe a good chance about it, yeah.
But if not, then I like Miami there. And then the last week against New England, and that's at home, and Miami historically does very well at home against New England. So they could roll the table after starting 1-7, and then win out. It would be just great.
Listen, Tennessee is 2-game skid. They need to get something back, and a little firepower with Derrick Henry would really help. So I think that would do those guys good.
How about the Denver Broncos?
No, I think the AFC West is just too good. I think Kansas City keeps pushing them farther away. So
yeah,
I don't think they make it.
Yeah, they're a game out right now. So are the Cleveland Browns.
People have laughed about this, and I keep saying it, but it's starting to prove a little bit more that it seems to be the AFC North and the AFC West, but I don't think Baker's going to be the one that's going to take him there. I think with Nick Chubb coming back and running and getting the ball a little bit more, I like that. But I think they find themselves on the outside looking in.
I like how you keep saying AFC North when you only have one. Well, I guess the Bengals are a representative as well, but it's not like everyone is way up there. Right?
No, but they're all within the top 11. If you have 4 out of the top 11 up there.
Yeah, it just means your bottom feeder is not as bottom feedery as the Jets. It's honestly, it's every division in the AFC minus the South right now that is doing pretty good. Let's see. You're not giving me numbers things. You're not following this game rule to at all, which is typical.
Okay, Cleveland. I give it out of 5 points. I would give them probably 8.
Well, I said 1 out of 10, but whatever.
1 out of 10. Okay, so I'll give them a 7.
I'm glad you listened. How about the Raiders?
I don't think so. I think I give them maybe a 6, maybe a 5. 5.
2 really close. Colts.
I'm going to put them higher. And you'll hear about it here in a little bit. I'm going to give them an 8. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
1.5 games behind Tennessee for the division lead. Half game behind Buffalo right now. On bye this week, and then the final 4, and the last one, the AFC Pittsburgh.
Oh man, I'm gonna say no because I'm just more impressed about 2 other teams. So I think I'm gonna give them a 5.
Honestly, looking at the AFC playoff picture, I don't know who falls out. Like maybe Cincinnati because they're still pretty young. Maybe Tennessee if they don't get Henry back in time. But the top 7 in the AFC are going to be tough to top. Couple responses to some of the comments that we're getting. First, Kevin Nolette. What do we think of Russell Wilson saying he'll be willing to waive his no trade clause for Denver, the Giants, or the Saints?
Listen, we said Saints last week. We thought that would be a great fit for him to go down. Nothing better to go and see Sean Payton, and then hopefully Alvin Kamara is back. That would be a great, maybe a 1-2 there. So,
Eric says, just wait till there's a 19th week. Sir, there will be 20 weeks. I've already said this, and I'm already making preparations for the bowling league. I believe at the next time that they make a schedule adjustment, they will have 2 bye weeks. They'll play 18 games. It'll be an even 20, and everyone will be happy, and I want it.
Listen, I could even see something a little bit different than that. I agree with the 20, but what do you feel about then getting 3 games with your division? 3 intermixed with AFC North.
So that would be 9. So you would play 9 games against the division then, and then you're playing another division, so that would be 13. You'd play a division in the NFC, so that is 17. So you'd only have 1 game left. I don't know if I like that. That's a lot against your division. And then you would get all messed up of who gets the 2 games at home against the 1. I kind of like them playing maybe even 2 different divisions in the AFC, or add in at least another game against the AFC there. I do like that when they added the extra game, it's against the other conference, just so you're seeing that other conference a little bit more, but we will see. And then Kevin, sorry about the lower pick. It only dropped 1 spot. It'll get worse when they beat Houston on Sunday, but it's still the 6th pick. It's 4 and 6 right now. I'm okay with that. Okay, back to our game that you never follow the rules of. All of these names, let's go quickly on them, but all of these teams I'm about to list are within 1 game of the last wild card spot. New Orleans Saints.
I'm going to give them a 5. I'm going to give them a 6. They've got a chance. I think a lot depends on what happens in that NFC South.
I say no. I'd say like a 2. Atlanta Falcons.
And that's the one that I would definitely say is 0. As much as I like Matt Ryan and things have started to turn a little bit, I don't think it's enough.
Carolina Panthers.
No, they're done. I give them maybe a 3.
Minnesota Vikings. All of these teams are 5 and 7, by the way.
Listen, and that one, I still felt like they were going to be the team in the NFC North. I still got this gut feeling that they're going to pull something out and go for a win. Now, you have to be proud of me. I haven't pulled up a schedule, so I'm not looking at a schedule over here.
Yeah, I know.
So you
I
be
hate
proud of
myself.
me.
I was the only one that's brought up a schedule so far.
I said nothing about a schedule, so I can't wait to see my nephew this weekend because I want to get he's a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, and I want to hear what he has to say. But I think the big thing for me is what happens tomorrow night. If Thielen is not a go, Dalvin Cook is not a go, I think their season is almost completely gone. So I would like to see him up. Gut tells me they're going to be there, but if those guys are no-goes, I think their season might be done. So give me at 7.
Okay, Philadelphia Eagles, half game behind Washington right now.
Listen, there is nothing going on between a Minshew mania and Jalen Hurts with a quarterback issue. We know it. It is Jalen Hurts' team right now. He is the future of that team. He's what's been holding it up as long as he can stay healthy and keep running, and he's I think I put it in the notes. He generated 2 weeks ago in the power rankings. I think he was over 3/4 of the total yards was by Jalen Hurts. So I think they sneak in there. Put them at an 8 for me.
And then the last one, the San Francisco 49ers, tied with Washington. Or no, never mind. They're in. I forget there's 7 damn teams that make these playoffs. And
yep, they're in right now.
I stopped at the right time in the AFC, but I did not stop at the right time of the NFC. So there you go. I don't know what I'm doing. Put some respect on Florida, man.
What do you want me to say about Florida? Really, Eric? What would you like me to say?
We will see. But all right, you hit the news real quick. I'll be right back.
I am going to hit the news awfully quick, really quick. Some big things going on here in NFL news. The biggest for me in listening to this is the COVID situation. 11 players hit the COVID list on Tuesday. None bigger than Cameron Jordan, Jordan Love, and Keenan Allen. So these guys are going to be huge hits for the team. Jordan Love, probably not as much, depending on what's going on with Green Bay's turf toe with Aaron Rodgers. That one will be interesting to see as he is.
Get me off this red side.
Oh, you like the red side.
Oh.
And for the Chargers, Keenan Allen being down, that's going to take a hit, and especially with Mike Williams now, that receiving core for Herbert is going to look awful rough this weekend.
In a must-win situation in a fantasy league, and Keenan Allen hurts.
Yeah, it does. Cameron Jordan, he's going to be missed there, but be interesting to see what happens. So you talked about it a few minutes ago. Jets Corey Davis is done for the year, and I haven't heard anything more than just core muscle surgery. What that means, what it's going to look like, soon we'll know.
A muscle is something that's in the body that neither of us have.
Yeah, pretty much. Your team, we talked your team. Let's talk my team. Marlon Humphrey's done for the year. Torn pectoral muscle. So everybody has talked about him being a big leader of the Ravens. I was up and down on him all year. Some of his coverages just didn't look good. So, it might get some new blood in there for the defensive backfield. So look for that. A couple others, Logan Wilson out with shoulder dislocation. He is going to be a week-by-week guy. Bengals, Joe Burrow. What do you think about that one? Do you think, he got hurt in the first quarter, didn't throw a ton that looked pretty. Do you think a week off would help him, or do you think he comes back this week?
I think he will come back just because they are in the hunt, and I think he'll try to work his way through. He struggled there for a bit and then turned things back around and helped the Bengals get back into that game, even with the banged up finger, and then it kind of fell off. He looked completely uncomfortable. throwing the football. The rest of that game, you saw him holding his pinky the whole time, just trying to get some pain out of it. But hopefully they figured out a way to keep it into place or keep it from hurting too much without causing too much issue. Obviously, they put some tape on it and he hated it and ripped it off. So see if they have come up with a solution in the last week to do it. But I think he plays.
And for me, the next one, it's kind of interesting to see what they do. Not heard anything more today about it, as was tough to be around the computer. But how about Daniel Jones, also day-to-day with the neck injury, and Mike Glennon in concussion protocol? Could the New York Giants not have a quarterback for week 14?
They have Jake Fromm, man.
Do you think they give him enough time? I don't know. I don't know if Jake Fromm is going to be the answer right now.
Hey, turn around, hand it to Saquon. Turn around, give it to Devontae Booker. They are going. If both Jones and Glennon are unable to play on Sunday, I guarantee you that Fromm will throw more passes than Mac Jones did on Monday night, but not by much.
So does that then say, okay, do we switch the team reins and bye-bye to Daniel Jones?
Because Jake Fromm threw a couple passes? No.
If he comes in and wins and dominates this game, do you think he finishes out?
Dominate.
Well, I mean, they are playing the Chargers, who's going to be missing 2 receivers. It'll be interesting. I don't know.
Well, the Giants situation is a complete mess. Let's move on to our Week 13 awards. And mine was so close to being even better, just a couple yards short for the 49ers from tying that game with Seattle. But George Kittle was absolutely fantastic. He's had injury problems the last couple of years, but 9 catches, 181 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he gets my player of the week, even in a losing effort.
And that's the only reason I didn't beat you to him, because I filled out mine early. George Kittle was there. The only reason I did not go with George Kittle was because they lost. And that was the only reason. But I'm going to put him back up there again. This will make Ryan Needham and Jenny happy. Give me Jonathan Taylor again. Jonathan has just been a beast. Another 32 carry day for him, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sir, I'm going to say it again. He's in the list of MVP.
Well, he is, and we all know Lamar Jackson is not. So
after his performance of getting sacked 7 times, he might have slipped out just a little bit.
Who is your front runner for MVP right now?
I've got to say Jonathan Taylor. It's got to be between. I hate saying it. It's between Taylor and Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's where I go, is Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is up there a bit because that team has been playing so well. Maybe Kyler Murray, if they had not won one of those games that he was out, and if he can turn things around, maybe that helps him. But I just don't see a running back ever winning the MVP. It always goes to a quarterback. And yeah, it's Tom Brady has been putting up some silly numbers, especially touchdown wise. That just what was it with Godwin? How many catches did Godwin have this week? It was like 13 catches. 15 catches? 15 catches for 143 yards. Just, yeah, Kevin Nolan slipped out last week. He was never in. Game of the week. I've already said it a couple times. The 49ers Seahawks game was very entertaining. Good back and forth game. Came down to the last few seconds. 49ers within the last couple of yards. Obviously, I would like a different result, but it was a very entertaining game. What about you?
Listen, I'm going to jump on the wagon this week, and just because they finally do it, they finally get the schneid off. I'm giving this win to the Detroit Lions. My game of the week: Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions.
No, that's not what I heard. Robert Hagan, officially on the R&R Sports Report, episode 61, has jumped on the Detroit bandwagon. He is no longer a Baltimore Ravens fan.
No,
he
that
has
will never
jumped.
Change.
He is bandwagon jumping. He saw Detroit finally win the game, and now he's a Lion fan. We heard it here first.
No. Hey, listen, Dan Campbell deserves that. There was a lot of back and forth with everything emotionally going on with Oxford and that, and those players just playing really good, come out dressed up in his garb. But hats off to them and what they could do with the game. Yeah, they were trailing there in the first quarter, but come out and score 20 points in the second quarter, and then hold on for why am I drawing a blank on his name? Riley Patterson, game-winning field goal, win that. So I mean, hats off.
There's
no
game-winning field goal. What are you talking about?
Didn't he score the last one?
No, they scored a touchdown right at the last second.
Oh, I thought they kicked it at the last second. I missed the. Yep. So, but
no, you watched as much of the game as Jared Goff's girlfriend did, and boy, did that blow up Twitter. Jeez.
I don't follow him on Twitter at all. I
didn't, but Adam Schefter was being a hornball on Twitter, and it blew up all over mine. Just go look up Jared Goff's girlfriend or wife or whatever she is, and her reaction. And she was doing like a swimsuit photo shoot. So of course Adam Schefter was like, "Oh yeah, let's post this. This is breaking NFL news." All right, let's look on to week 14. And hey, actually, before we do, this helps our believe it or not from last week that the Lions will win more than one game this year.
Yes, it does.
Neither of us expected them to win this one, and they did. We'll see if they can upset Denver on Sunday or not. But that is not my game of the week. My game of the week is one that all of a sudden has division implications. Not something you thought you would say a few weeks ago, but the Dallas Cowboys go into Washington to play the old football team. And I don't know, is this Dallas starting to cowboy it up? And once again, everyone was saying Super Bowl, and all of a sudden they won't even win the division. They look like a mess. The running game is a mess. Yes, it is nice to see Pollard, start breaking out a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm picking Washington in our pick'ems, and I'm semi-confident about it, and that will make them one game back. And they have another game. What I love about Washington's schedule, bringing up schedules for you again, only because I brought it up on the power rankings, Washington has 5 games left. They're all against division.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the football team is 2 games out of the division lead, they still control their own destiny, which is just wild to me, and I absolutely love it. And what a weird schedule the NFL has made, where the Browns and the Ravens play 2 out of 3 weeks, but the Browns get a bye week in between, and the Ravens get the Steelers. You get the Redskins going, what is it, Cowboys, Eagles on their schedule. Hey, I love the NFL schedule, and I love the release, because with the bowling league, we get a lot to have some fun with it and figure out who we're bowling and when. And then I get to put all the lane assignments together, but it kind of felt lazy this year.
Mm-hmm. But I want to touch one other thing. You like Washington.
Yep.
And I'm going to bring this up is because you really talked about Tyler Heinecke a lot.
Yes.
The end of last season. Are you still as impressed with him this season?
He hasn't taken the step forward that I was hoping. But over the last couple of weeks, he is getting there. The defense is getting better for Washington. And that's what I was thinking. It's for Heinecke, all he has to do is not make mistakes. And he's thrown 11 interceptions this year, so he's made the mistakes that he didn't need to do. But rely on the defense, rely on the running game, and just not make mistakes. I wanted Washington to do what Denver's been doing and just be that boring football team that you don't really want to watch, but when you blink, they're in the playoffs.
They've got that feel of they're drawing you in, and keeping you in time. I like that chance of that game too. It'll be an interesting game. I'm also going to go with a division matchup, but I'm going to go to the NFC West, and I'm going to take the LA Rams in Arizona.
That's a good one.
Right now, LA is 2 games back. It's finally good to see them get off the losing train, picking up their win this last week. So how does Arizona get back into it and play? Kyler Murray looked great this last weekend. So I want to see if this trade for Von was worth it, because they finally try to put something together. Can they put enough pressure, and along with Aaron Donald, put enough pressure on Kyler Murray?
Yeah, we will definitely see it. That's going to be a fantastic Monday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you don't expect 50-mile-an-hour winds like we had on the Monday night game, and we thought that was going to be really good. Now that became entertaining in several different ways. By the way, anybody that hates Joe Buck can no longer hate Joe Buck for the line that he threw on the Manning cast
yes,
on Monday.
Did you watch the Manning cast?
No, but I have seen that clip, and just straight mic drop by the man. I absolutely loved it. They have basically Peyton Manning, if you haven't seen it, asks Joe Buck if he ever wished he was able to have guests on the broadcast during blowouts. And he said the last time I wanted that during a blowout that was really hard to call was when Peyton Manning was facing the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm not even a Seahawks fan, and it made me chuckle because, yes, that Super Bowl was probably the last one where I was extremely bored the entire time because you knew really quick it was over.
Yeah, and I watched, actually, that was the first telecast I did with those two watching it. And I kind of was into it, and I think it's just because I coach, and so listening to their description a little bit different, and it was interesting to watch them. Wasn't too impressed with David Letterman on there as one of the guests, but
what's going to happen when they basically have stopped having current players on because the Manning curse was a real thing. So they went, never mind, we won't have current players on to mess with them.
But it was a great telecast. If you get a chance, go back, watch it. Watch that little clip. I heard it live. It was hilarious. And so I actually stopped because I was had finished dinner and with Denise, and we were talking, and all of a sudden he made that comment. I was just like, oh my God, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. So
all right, let's get into our pick'em results. I've gained 2 games on you this week. I went 10-4. You went 8-6. You still have me by a 7-game lead right now, but I'm pretty happy with my 117-76-1 record because you just were on such a run, and there's there's 4 of you right now in our bowling league that have run away with it, and the rest of us schmucks are trying to catch up. But this is the first time I've been able to gain more than 1 on you over the last several weeks. So we'll see if things turn around. I don't know if you've put it together yet because we both sent each other our picks in the last couple hours. I don't know how many we have different this week, but I do know we have 1 because on Thursday night, Pittsburgh at Minnesota, home team on Thursday night. I know there's injury issues. Pittsburgh just coming off their big win against Baltimore. Give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I would love to see it happen for Minnesota's fate, but the injury,
I get it right.
Yeah, the injuries just scare me a little bit. So right now, early line right now, I think it is 3 when I looked a little while ago for Pittsburgh, maybe 2.5. I have not gone back and looked at it, but give me Pittsburgh on the road.
Trying to look right now. I'm seeing our homerism has taken over as I took Cleveland, you took Baltimore, I took the Jets, you took New Orleans. Let's see.
Right now, Minnesota is favored by 3. That has changed.
I took Atlanta. I took Atlanta. You took Carolina. I took Washington. You took Dallas. We got a lot. And I took all home teams at the end, and so did you. So it was like 4 or 5 in there. It'll be interesting. See if we can come back into it, or it'll be like college where I did everything I could to come back, and I lost all 5 games. We picked different.
Listen, what I'm seeing now is you have a new follower. Kevin, just go ahead and go follow him on Twitter. Follow him. It looks like Kevin.
I do all of the Twittering. I'm such a good Twitterer.
But it looks like he's agreeing with everything you've got. So
he believes in the comeback story that I have building here. You are listening to the R&R Sports Report right here on Facebook and YouTube. We're not on KLCZ for the next about 2 months or so, as we have now hit our Christmas break for school. I'm so glad that I have like 1 more paper to finish and one more finals to take, and I can take a break for a little bit. But yeah, definitely, if you are listening for the first time, I should have done this when Corey was on because our numbers were much better, as everyone wanted to listen to him talk and not us. But if you haven't followed us yet, definitely do that, especially on Facebook, because that's where you're going to get our pick'ems. That's where you're going to get our sports-related drafts, which we're going to do in a little bit. We're going to have a special deal for that this week that Robert has no idea about. But we're going to have fun with it. That's where you can see our power rankings that come out every Tuesday. Finally, we made Richie happy with it because Baltimore's finally out of the top 10, even though Robert had them at like 7. But I finally lowered them enough to get them out of our top 10. So, yeah, definitely check out all that. Share it with everybody else. Let's continue to grow. And I like where we're going, and it can just go more. And absolutely, Kevin, happy holidays to you as well. Let's get into some high school sports, and I will go first. And then I got to run again because this cold is kicking my butt. So I'm trying not to blow my nose in the microphone every 5 seconds. Gross. I know. I apologize to people. Anybody eating dinner right now, I apologize for that. But the Lewiston Bengals did take the court at home on Tuesday. Both came away with a win. The girls' game was rough to watch. 46-27 is the final score for a Bengals win, but turnovers were brutal. Pullman did not score their first point, and I wish me and Dalton Laney, who is a senior at LHS, who's my color guy up there, we're trying to keep up some stats, and we just couldn't. I wish we were keeping track of turnovers, but Pullman did not score their first point until about 6.5 to 7 minutes into the game. Their first point was on a technical on Lewiston because their player, who still on their program shows that she is number 5, and it screwed me up the first week, is number 15. And for the first time, it caught the scorer. And the scorer in the book apparently had her as 5 instead of 15. So an illegal numbered player gave Lewiston a technical, which gave Pullman their first point. The Greyhounds did not score a field goal until the second quarter. It was really rough. Lewiston had full court press from the get-go, and Pullman just had no answer for it. One of their key players inside for Pullman got her 4th foul 15 seconds into the second quarter. It was a really hard watch and a hard one to call. But then the boys came in. That one was fantastic. Good back and forth game between two really good teams. Lewiston comes away with that one 60-53. So they move 3-0 on the year. The girls now 3-3 as well. They both will take on Lakeland on Friday, and then they will be back home on Tuesday, which again is part of the reason why our schedule is all messed up, as they will be hosting Pendleton, girls at 5:30, boys at 7. And I just have to tell you, that gym, like, we get more people at LCSC for basketball than what Lewiston gets, but that new gym creates so much noise that it feels like there's so many more there. Obviously, Kramer Gym, fantastic atmosphere, and I'll let you talk about the Bantams here in a second. And calling games there, you could barely hear yourself because they have that thing packed to the rafters. Lewiston, that place was probably 2/3 full, maybe even less than that. And I felt like I had to yell over the crowd half the time. It's a fantastic atmosphere. So definitely go support local basketball, local sports in general. Let's fill these stands for these kids and let them experience what it's like to just have an entire fan base behind them, because it's fun. Like the boys game, especially yesterday with Pullman jumping out by 6 and then Lewiston coming right back. And the two fan bases, Pullman traveled extremely well as far as their fan base was, as they always do. It was a great atmosphere. Good job for the Bengals to both get their wins. And for Clarkston, it was nice to see them actually finally take the court.
Yeah, 100%. But to jump over on yours really quick, Pullman girls have been struggling for 3 or 4 years. Before COVID, they've been struggling to find a big presence. So I kind of feel bad for Pullman. The Pullman boys, though, have looked great over the last few years. They continue to look good. Talking with Rick Smith the other day, they have a couple, and you got the chance to watch him play yesterday, a couple of transfers in this last year. So some big guys. And so I'm excited to see them here in the next, I think we play them here next week or in the week after But it will be interesting. As far as the gym there, you and I went to a game there towards the end of last year. I'm excited to go and try to get into a couple other games and watch up there. So just the atmosphere at LHS is getting there. Just need to get the crowds to get there too. So
Eric says that before you get into it, Eric says there needs to be a particular story in sports that don't get enough airtime. Robert put one in, and I'm going to see if it's the one that Eric is talking about. So we will see. But you go ahead and talk Bantams. I'll be right back.
Stay there. We'll find out. Yeah, it was kind of nice to see Bantam girls play this week. They end up knocking off Lewis and Clark last week, and then Freeman on Friday last week, getting a couple big wins, 65-40 over LNC, which is a bigger school. So it was kind of nice to see that happen. And then going back up to Freeman and playing Freeman on Friday. So it was cool to see that. They end up winning that one 69-42. But last night, come up with a very difficult loss and lose to Colfax by a score of 60-39. Just could not seem to get anything going. Erica Pickett had 6 points I was going to say Ashlyn Wallace. Kendall Wallace ends up with right at 10 points here for the Bantams, but they just did not have an answer for the couple of teams that were what Colfax was dishing out. Had a chance to chat with assistant coach Pat Sabota today about the way things were going for that Colfax team. Asher, another great girl up there, was able to do some good work. They've got a new big girl up there as a freshman for Colfax. And when the comment comes from both assistant coaches for Clarkston, and Randy and I were talking about this just before the show and at the top of the show, if Colfax is not the champion in their division, there's something wrong, and there must be a bigger team on the other side of the state. So look for that. Look out for that team over the next few weeks. And then you said it. It was awesome to see the Clarkston boys finally take the floor for the first time. They are all just coming out of COVID protocol. No practices over the last couple of weeks. But they come out and get a big win against Colfax last night.
Yeah, Coach Jones, when I talked to him yesterday, was saying like it had been over a week since he saw like half the team.
Yeah, so it's been tough, and so a lot of those boys hadn't played, but they come out and end up playing quite well. End up picking up a big win there in Colfax, 70-64. So hopefully this is a sign of what is to come here. So. Both ball clubs are going to be in action next week. They will both be with as the same thing Corey was talking about earlier with his wrestlers, and the funk was there. And so things have kind of gotten shifted around. So some of the ball clubs are not wanting, even wrestlers and other sports, they're not wanting to travel to Washington. So the game versus Moscow next week that was scheduled for next Tuesday, why we're not doing the show next Tuesday, is going to be actually at one of my favorite venues, and then now becoming a second home to me, LCSC. We're at the Activity Center. So
very cool.
We'll be playing there. Clarkston will be taking on Moscow. Unfortunately, we now become the visitors on the scoreboard, but it'll be more of a home game for us there. So boys will tip at 7, girls 5:30. So make sure you go to the Activity Center.
We've seen that a lot. Obviously, you're just talking about Clarkston's game getting changed with Moscow. The reason why we're doing the show today and not yesterday at the station is because the Lewiston boys were supposed to be on the road to Pullman on Tuesday. The girls were going to be at home on Monday. And the exact same thing. Lewiston didn't want to have to go through all the protocols and stuff, so that it became a doubleheader, both at Lewiston on Tuesday. And we're seeing a lot of that. One thing that we have not talked about on this show, I think, maybe it got announced before our show last week, but I'll just reiterate. I'm very excited now for January 10th, as it will be Moscow and Lewiston up at the U of I. at that new arena. And from everything I've heard, hopefully I get to call that game or those games. So
to answer David's question, and I did talk with a few people. Now it will become, unfortunately, Idaho rules, since Moscow will be the home team and we will be the away team. So no shot clock, which will be terrible, which I still think Idaho needs to get fixed.
Yes.
So,
by the way, I've talked about this game enough already, and I apologize for butting in, but that Lewiston Pullman girls game, I very rarely did you ever worry about a shot clock. Both teams were pushing it quickly, so there's only a couple times I'm like, oh man, I missed the shot clock because they never carried. And the Avista tournament, shot clock.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second. So, two other games I didn't really hit on. There is a kind of a tournament game that the Clarkston girls will be taking advantage of. They'll be traveling up to East Valley and playing Sela in a little tournament they're doing on Friday. That game is slated for 3:30. Not sure if they're going to have coverage for that game or not because of the fact of it being a tournament kind of scenario. We'll see about that one. Also, again, same issue as Moscow. Pendleton is not wanting to come into Washington, and so they're looking for a venue. I was hoping to have that locked down and let you know. It looks like it is going to be a game possibly in Lapway, or it could be another away game for Clarkston, as they might have to travel to Pendleton. We will keep you posted. I will make comments and post on the webpage. Check that out. R&R Facebook page, and you'll see that there. Also, another shout out, big news with Soton Panthers. Hats off to new coach Perry Black. Hoping to get Perry on the show here in the next couple of weeks or so. They are out like a ball of fire with the boys team and has picked up a couple of big wins already this season.
We had some WAA high school awards. The Warrior Athletic Association announced their winners last week. Your male athlete of the year, Titus Yearout, who just was fantastic in football. The number of times I saw he had 6 or 7 touchdowns in a game.
And not just football.
You couldn't count on one hand. He's very good at basketball as well, but this was more for the fall sports. Female athlete of the year, shock, Ashlyn Wallace. She was, how many games we called of her and how fantastic she is. Her sister is already off to a great start this year, Kendall. Coach of the year, Debbie Sabota. No big surprise, I think, for any of us here for what kind of a season they had. Team of the year, Lapway's boys basketball. Our old friend Zach Eastman, the head coach over there, old bowler. He still bowls, but just not in the league that we run anymore. And Rick Hill, whatever that word is, Brad
the notorious.
There you go. Brad Wasmith of Grangeville. So congratulations to all of them for those awards. And we'll have to get Sabota back on maybe before Golden Throne or something and talk about that. Let's get to college now.
Speaking about that before we go too far, and I didn't add it in the notes, a Vista tournament. We're hoping, like I said earlier, hoping to get that will be happening mid of or the end of December. Hoping to get Mike Tatko on. We'll talk a little bit about tournament, but again, that's another one of those high school games, guys. Come and fill LCSC.
So good.
Watch 8 games, man. I'm going to be there the entire time. I'll have my cot set up probably somewhere, but it is a great tournament. Come up and be part of that. So
December 28th, 29th, and 30th. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday up there at the LCSC Activity Center. Speaking of LC, both teams, the men and the women, win both of their games Friday and Saturday, taking out Northwest and Evergreen State. The men now move to 9-1 on the year, 3-0 in conference. They will be taking on Portland Bible College on Sunday at the LCSC Activity Center. They did play Portland Bible College back on November 26th and won that one 84-23. And the women now move to 8-0 on the year, 3-0 in conference, and they will play on Saturday on the road against George Fox. And LC is 2-0 against that team lifetime, but it's been a couple of years since they both have played. Eastern Washington does fall, so they are out of the playoffs. Berryer with 80 passing attempts, which is Madden numbers. If you ever wanted to play 15-minute quarters in Madden, you would get to 80 attempts. 530 yards, 5 touchdowns. Unfortunately, he throws a pick 6, and he had a fumble that was also resulting in a touchdown, which was a big part of the 57-41 win for Montana. So great year for Barrier. Not the way Eastern Washington wanted to go, but it allows us to get into bowl season finally. I know, Hagen, you've been wanting to talk about bowls for the longest time. WSU has an interesting bowl. Go for it.
They're great. That's how they're going to be. I think they're going to end up winning it. They're going to take and that one's going to happen. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have figured Kellogg sponsoring a Tony the Tiger? Are you a Frosted Flakes fan?
I am a Frosted Flakes fan. I'm a big cereal guy in general, but Frosted Flakes is always a good go-to. Though usually it's the generic kind because I like the bags more because we have the cereal containers and stuff, and it's just easier to pour those in there without making a bigger mess. But yes, it will be the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. It'll be Friday, December 31st at an early 9:30 a.m. start time, as it will be WSU taking on Miami. In that one, Miami with a new head coach from Oregon. So it'll be interesting to see what the assistants could do in this bowl game.
All right. And we're going to have to drop maybe a little challenge to Eric, since Eric's a Florida man. Mm-hmm. Maybe see how he likes this matchup. Maybe I'm going to go Kevin. Kevin's going to, take a stab. That's a Husky fan for you. It'll be interesting to watch that game. I'm half tempted to kind of get together with him and see if we watch that live on TV and
do a live stream.
We'll do a little live stream. That'd be interesting. So, we'll talk a little bit more college bowls here in a few minutes, but excited to see that one take on a big ACC school.
Get to the Heisman Finalists, as they have now set it up where only 4 people get to participate in the event. Bryce Young, quarterback of Alabama. Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end from Michigan. Kenny Pickett, quarterback of Pittsburgh. CJ Stroud, the quarterback out of Ohio State. Who you got?
Out of this list, I hate to say it. I'm still a little bitter about where my guy ended up. I don't think he even gets in there. Kenneth Walker doesn't even make it to the Final Four. So kind of a little bummed with that, but I mean, we'll move on. God, give me a defensive guy. I'm going defense.
It would be great.
I would love to see that happen. Not a big Michigan fan, but give me Aiden Hutchinson.
It's Bryce Young. It's just what Alabama did to get into the playoffs. But Robert, you set up a challenge.
I did. What did I set up this time? Oh, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Eric Watkins.
The Sun Bowl. You bring me in by mentioning the fact that we're in the Sun Bowl again. For shame. For shame.
Hey,
For shame.
It's not our fault your team ended up in the Sun Bowl again.
Oh, don't remind me. Don't remind me. Bad memories. And it had not been for Florida State, we could have been in Charlotte, but oh no. Kenny, 2 gloves, Pickett, mutter.
Yeah, quick question. Do you think the Sun Bowl will have snow like it did the last time WSU was in that game?
I would. Hey, I mean, have you seen the crazy weather that Texas has had the past couple of winters?
Yeah, I know. WSU was a part of one.
Yeah, so honestly, why not? I'll lean yes just for the lulz and all of the giggles.
So I don't know if you heard.
Make it a little extra challenge.
I don't know if you had heard. Robert had challenged you to doing a live stream, watching the Miami WSU game together. Are you down?
It's early enough to where I will have to be sober. But yes, I accept that challenge.
Get their molten salt ready.
The Morton's is going to be on
Morton's,
standby.
there you go.
I can
absolutely. Yeah, I know you haven't been able to use that as the kickoff went on hiatus for a little bit, but it'll be good to go here at the end of December. We brought on Eric, or I brought on Eric, because
I didn't know you were coming on tonight. I was like,
I thought about it about 20 minutes ago and a half hour ago and messaged him, and he was all for it. But we're going to talk about the Bulls here in a second, and we'll get some insight from Eric as well. And then the sports-related draft is about the best bowls of all time. Not games, just the heritage of the bowl games, which was way harder than I was thinking it was until I started looking into it. Because some of these bowls have been going on for so long, but some of them don't have the greatest games associated with it. So we will see where we land on that. And it was so close and it was so tough for me to pick. I needed Eric here to be the judge.
I mean, who better to have an official notary public live from the state of Florida to help properly officiate these sorts of drafts for you?
So we will get into that first. Let's touch on the college pick'em that is now over. Robert did run away with it as I threw the Hail Mary last week and picked 5 games different than him. I was 3 games back, and unfortunately, I got all 5 of them wrong. So instead of losing by a couple, I lost by a lot. It's horrible. Robert ends up 8-2 last week. He goes 42, 35-3, which is a great record against the spread. That'll make you some money. Mm-hmm. I do go 3-7 the last week, so unfortunately, I go 34, 43-3, and my wallet would have hurt just a little bit.
So now talking about that really quick, I don't know if you've heard that, we now have a sports book in near us, only 2 hours, so we don't have to deal with Vegas anymore. Maybe we just make a road trip here in a few weeks and go up and place a bet or two.
Is that Pendleton? Is that what you're talking about?
No, actually,
no,
Spokane.
Spokane's got one.
Yeah.
I just want Idaho to lift DraftKings, please.
Yes.
That's all I want.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm also on Sleeper, their fantasy app. They just released their whole squads feature. Do y'all have access to that up in
We don't have access to any online gambling, period. We did. I was able to do DraftKings for like 3 weeks, and then Idaho went, no, we're shutting that down.
Jeez,
and Idaho became an issue.
And I thought Florida was bad. They at least give us that, which is something.
Oh, well, Washington's the same way. They want their cut, so you can't do anything with Washington.
Give them the cut. Let us have our stuff. That's
Exactly.
Make the money. All right, let's get into the bowls. Is there anything that really stands out to either of you as far as bowl games that aren't part of the playoffs that are must watch?
Oh, I thought about maybe the Gator Bowl, especially with the way that it was set up and it being local, but I'm looking at the schedule. It's like outside of the Sun and your New Year's Six, I'm not seeing anything overly special. Maybe the Gasparilla for Harry's interest. Florida, UCF, see how that goes with UCF being one of the teams moving into the Big 12, how they will do again against an SEC team, keep that magic going post Scott Frost. But aside from that, it's like nothing compelling. It's
so interesting, and I know you hear all these arguments about expanding the playoffs, about, it's going to kill the bowl games. What's killing the bowl games is all these coaches moving before the end of the season. So you're going to get a bunch of assistant coaches that are coaching these games, especially you look at, what was it? Which one is Oregon and Oklahoma? The Alamo Bowl. You're going to have assistant coaches versus assistant coaches there because both of them have made coaching changes. Can we wait till the season's actually over, please, before we make these moves? And you're going to get a bunch of players that go, nah, it's pointless. I don't want to play.
I was going to say the best defensive player probably in the country is not going to be playing. Thibodeau will not be playing in that game. So, I mean, why turn it on and watch it?
Eric, do you think with the new NIL rules that bowls need to use some of these NILs to convince players to play one more game?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this year in particular. Have either of you heard of the Frisco Football Classic?
Nope.
Of course not. You know why? The Frisco Football Classic has existed for all of a week. It was a bowl put together literally last minute before the deadline, so it would create a 40-second game and allow for all 84 teams to have spots so that way nobody would be going home. If you're going to create games like this, and especially with all the supposed controversy, jealousy, backstabbing from all reports that have put playoff expansion in 2024 in jeopardy, these bowls, they've got to pounce. You're putting up the money to host these kind of games, you can make something with the NIL for these particular players, even if it's as simple as a commercial or two day of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, and the Frisco Bowl is actually an interesting game. San Diego State and UTSA, which was one of the last undefeated teams in the regular season. So two smaller schools getting a little bit of a spotlight. But I don't know. There's so many bowls anymore. I used to love bowl season when I was growing up, but now there's just so much. And most of these teams don't care. Yes, will it be interesting to watch like the Celebration Bowl with Jackson State and South Carolina State, where two teams that absolutely get zero coverage, being able to end up on ESPN or wherever that's going to, most likely ESPN, I would think. Oh, ABC, even better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Let some of these smaller schools get the recognition, but I've always hated the argument, and it's even worse now that, the playoffs are killing the Bulls. No, the Bulls did it to themselves.
Don't make me get my brown paper bag of shame handy. It's around here somewhere. I've used it before.
So we will be doing picks on those next week. The first, just showing you how stupid these bowls are. Our first bowl games will be on Friday, December 17th. The Bahamas Bowl between Middle Tennessee and Toledo, and the Cure Bowl between Northern Illinois and Coastal Carolina. So it's, must-see TV.
Exactly.
Fair. At least you get go to the Bahamas, right?
Exactly. You could go to the famous Idaho Bowl and play on the blue turf, which you love. Yeah, but to answer your question, I think the bowl that intrigues me the most, that is not probably one of the big four, is watching Baylor and Ole Miss. I think that one, and it's the Sugar Bowl. I'm excited to watch that, and that's one that Baylor played quite well. I think it'll be a great game.
Everybody thought I was weird for saying that Baylor would be a force to be reckoned with in the Big 12 on the kickoff at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm just honestly trying to look through anything to find anything else that's intriguing. I got nothing. It's just...
Yeah, well, the only other one that is for me probably is Notre Dame and Oklahoma State, just because of the way Oklahoma State was trying to make that last push, and maybe Notre Dame is not the same as what they used to. So, I mean, that would be the only other one.
And again, with another coaching change, with Brian Kelly out and going to LSU.
It's a mess. One that I'll just note, December 29th, you get, a couple football games in famous baseball parks, the Fenway Bowl and the Pinstripe Bowl. It's two teams that you don't care about, but that's more just for the spectacle of seeing a football field get jammed in there in a weird, awkward way, and so much empty space where, like, even if you have front row seats, you're kind of far away from the action. So it's always interesting.
Yeah, shades of what happened with Northwestern and Purdue trying again at Wrigley, which they actually got it right this time. Kudos for them.
All right, let's get into it because it's going to be fun, and that's why I brought Eric on here. The sports-related draft, we have now done 10 of these, and I am 10-0 on the year, but now we'll make it official, as Eric will make me 11-0, or despite me, he will give me my first official loss. We will see.
It depends on how rancid you are. That's all I'm going to say.
It's tough to be rancid on some of these, but we will see how it goes. I think we kind of went chalk, both of us, as far as our picks. I was trying to get cute with some of mine, but it's just tough because there's so many that have such a great heritage. Kevin's already said Robert wins. Unfortunately for me, I was the one that picked the topic of the best bowl games. So Robert Hagan does get the first pick.
Listen, I've already won the helmet one. I've run the mascot one. I definitely won the food one. So you're not 10-0. No 10-0.
7-3 still fine, even though you're wrong about that. But let's go. All right, let's get the first pick, which I think would have been everyone's first pick.
It has to be the granddaddy of them all. Give him to me. It is the Rose Bowl, the longest one that's been around since 1902. Yep. And I think the best thing about this was I wasn't a big fan of when all the sponsorships came in and they started saying, well, this one. I think it's had the most sponsorships out of all of them, sponsored this year by Venture X22 by Capital One. But I mean, they were the Northwest Mutual Bowl, Vizio's Rose Bowl, City. I mean, they've been sponsored by a bot. But for me, besides being the granddaddy of them all and them talking about it, has to be Keith Jackson. I'm going to say it. Keith Jackson, that voice. And yes, Eric, another notch. Washington State boy, just saying. Go Cougs.
Class of 53, nothing against him for that one.
Yep. Yeah, by far. Yeah, I mean, it was a game to listen to when you had Keith Jackson on and calling that game.
Yeah, I have zero complaints about you taking the Rose Bowl first. That's the issue of being the one that comes up with a topic is usually there's that one that really stands out and you go, well, I'm not getting that pick. So I knew I could have just put in my first pick and just skipped over the Rose Bowl because I knew I wasn't get it. So yes, the Rose Bowl, the longest running one. My first pick is actually the one that's been running the shortest out of the three picks that I ended up with. But I think just the level of play that has been in this game made it top for me, and that is the Fiesta Bowl. It's the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl right now, which obviously is a gamer. That intrigues me even more. But you just look at the heritage of like the level of play. Obviously, the game that obviously jumps to mind for anyone in the Northwest was Boise State, Oklahoma back in 2007. Also, 2003, the BCS championship game, which this might make me lose as we have a Miami fan that is here being the judge, but Ohio State, Miami.
All you had to do was just mention that and cut yourself off, and you would have been just fine.
But a double overtime game.
Keep going.
Double overtime game there, which was absolutely fantastic. PI that was not called in that game, Eric.
All right, you redeemed yourself.
Right, thank you.
You redeemed yourself with that one. I will give you that one.
It's usually two top teams. While most bowls are, and I know that there's affiliations probably even with the Fiesta, but the Fiesta at least feels like it has no problem getting rid of those affiliations when needed, which is why Boise State got on there, especially with the playoffs going on. They're like, oh, this team moved on. Let's have some fun with it. So I think the Fiesta gives you the most variety. It's not like the Rose Bowl where it's Pac-12, Big Ten, put them together and let's go. It's the most variety out of these later bowls and like the top tier bowls. So that's why it is my first pick. All right, what about you? What's your second pick?
So for me, I've got to go another one. It's one of the newer out of the three that I picked. But give me the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I mean, when it first came out, it was the ACC, SEC going against each other. Started in 68. You know, it has been a fixture in Atlanta over the last few years. It has been, now it's in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but to be in the Georgia Dome, also to play at Fulton County Stadium, one of a big site for them. But over the last few years, it has become a game or a group of game where there's a lot of top 10 to top 20 teams face off against each other in that game. You've had some huge people that have come away MVP. I throw this out to shout out to your boy. I'm trying to give you a little love. How about Jim Kelly, Miami? There you go. I'm
the man who started the team.
Little brown nose in there. How about Jim Kelly?
Robert knows how to play this game too.
I'm trying to figure it out. Heinz Ward was part of this thing. You've got some of these others. Joe Burrow, one of the latest ones. CJ Spiller. God, Matthew Stafford. Lots of big names have come out of this bowl, have went on into the NFL. So there's a lot of history there. So I think Peach Bowl is another one for me.
All right, I went more lineage again with my second pick, and honestly, it's the best trophy that you can win out of any of these bowls. It's the Orange Bowl. Who doesn't want to win a big giant bowl of oranges for winning a football game? It's original, it's different, and it's been around forever. 1935 was when it first became like full on annual, which is basically making it the second longest behind the Rose Bowl. There's a couple other that basically happened that year as well. Another fantastic game, but it's all about the trophy for me that just makes it stand out. And that's what you have to do with the bowl, is make it original and make it different. And I think the Orange Bowl does it as well. And since we're just, brown nosing the judge right now, I mean, Steve Walsh in 89, Bernie Kosar in 84. Miami was fantastic in the late 80s as far as the Orange Bowl went.
The glory days. I don't know. Y'all are making it an awfully close draft right now. It's making it tough to decide.
Last picks. Let's see what happens.
There's a lot in there that you could have went a lot back and forth. And you look at the Rose Bowl, that was the first time you saw an East versus West. And so it was quite interesting to see. For me, that also sticks a little bit. I want to cram all of this Southeast goodness and all this big football places. So give me the Cotton Bowl. Give me the big guys, the guys where football is, I hate saying it, football's king down there. If you're not at a Friday night lights game and then turn around the next day and you're not at a college game on Sunday. So, give me the Cotton Bowl. It happens down there in Texas. Some big guys that have come in, played there, that have been huge. Joe Montana. And that's all I got to say. Joe Montana. When he played for Notre Dame back in 1979 at the Cotton Bowl, I mean, probably one of the best things that happened. Oh, yeah, and there was this other guy. That's right, Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman was also an MVP of the Cotton Bowl. So, I mean, if it's anything to do about Southern states playing football, it is about the Cotton Bowl. So.
Old school SEC versus Southwest Conference for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So my last pick, I went with one of the playoff bowls with my second round pick. I'm going to go with the other one for my final pick, and that is the Sugar Bowl, played in New Orleans. Another long-standing one, another bowl that started in 1935. No disrespect to the Sun Bowl, which also started that year, but anyone that gets WSU multiple times kind of takes a hit as far as how high up we can move it up in the rankings. Obviously, you get Clemson, Ohio State this year. New Orleans, that's where every college kid wants to go, right? Go party there in New Orleans, have a good time for a week. The football game is probably secondary for a lot of them, but at least they get to go party and have a good time. Now, it would be cool if you could win a big thing of sugar or something like the Orange Bowl and just dump that on the coach instead of Gatorade. That would be just something to be a little different. But again, some very good games there as well. Obviously, it's an SEC Big 12 bowl game. So there you go. Those are my three. So Robert has the Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl, and the Cotton Bowl. I have the Fiesta Bowl, Orange Bowl, and Sugar Bowl. And for the first time, we have a judge. Eric, give us your verdict and reasoning why.
All right. This is a close one. And it's really coming down to the third round picks. Since you all did a little bit of brown nosing, much more fond memories of the Cotton Bowl, Miami going into destroying Texas. Not so fond of memories of the Sugar Bowl. However, I'm going to throw an extra curveball here to really help solidify. You both wanted the Rose Bowl as your first pick, correct?
Yes.
You both know that it is always held in Pasadena, California. Name the 1 year that it was not, and where was it located instead? If I first one you can either, this will help sway my decision.
I don't even think it was in the state of California, was it?
No.
Nope,
It was in Arizona.
Nope.
Was it not?
No.
I'm trying to remember where it was at. It's last year.
Even before then.
But it wasn't in California last year, right?
Right. But before
It was
then, there was one other big time, even major with this. Yes, it was relocated because of
the COVID
pandemic.
stuff. Yeah.
Right. But before this.
One before. So it's got to be something completely off the wall and something like Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina area. That's where I will go.
I would have
one of those 3 states.
I would have figured they would have stayed on the West Coast, though.
Believe it or not, I'm going to give Randy half credit.
Half credit.
Durham, North Carolina, 1942. Duke was playing, and remember, it was
Don't you remember that game, Hagen?
I'm not that old. Come on.
It was right after Pearl Harbor. But since you only got half credit, Robert officially wins. Again, it came down to the third pick. I was trying, Randy. I was trying. But that's all right. But now that we've gotten this college business out of the way, and as a bit of a segue for the sports that don't get enough airtime, if you'll allow me.
We got stripping on the show now. Ooh.
Look at that. I didn't.
Happy AFL schedule release day.
I didn't even know. I did not even know.
I just dropped a couple hours ago.
See, and that's the bad thing is I muted about 3 weeks ago. I muted my AFL alerts because it was always alerting, and so I put it on mute because I figured I had a couple of months, and so I missed it.
All right, give us a quick 2-minute breakdown of anything that of note from that schedule.
We're going to be talking a lot because among the teams that my dogs play twice, and by measure of ladder position with all the teams we play twice, of course, naturally, we get crushed in the grand final, and what do? They give us the toughest schedule in the league. But we start with the first half of the season. We're going to be on television a lot, so that's great. But I get the pleasure of going to both of you guys twice. Especially you, Randy. You'll be seeing us again down in Tasmania this year.
Hey,
we'll get our revenge. We'll get our revenge. Trust us.
Yeah, we are very, very excited for the AFL to come back. We've already talked about combining to get the whatever the packages so you could watch it all. We're ready. We got a couple months for it. I didn't even realize that the schedule dropped because I'm like Robert, where I know the draft was going on and they're like building up through there, but just waiting for the season to go. It's like March, right? Middle of March is when it gets going. I know they have like the younger league that goes on before it and kind of a preseason deal, but
right. They got the JLT Community Series, which is going to be happening this year. I know Easter is around round 6, so I want to say end of March. I will be double checking.
March 16th.
Yep. Melbourne versus Western to start things off.
And you know what really makes me mad about that? Melbourne specifically requested that game at the MCG round 1 just so they could unfurl their premiership flag in front of us. And the league accepted. But instead of giving us a primetime slot, they stick it on a Wednesday. Really? Really? This is how you're going to do.
They wanted to be early for St. Patrick's Day and celebrate.
So looking at this, they haven't officially announced dates for the second half of the year, but Hagen, you and I, Sunday, April 17th at 10:20 p.m. local time. So at least that's at a good time to actually watch the game. And as far as Eric and I go, neither of the dates have been set, but it is the last week of the regular season, Hawthorne and Western. And I didn't see where you guys were set just yet. Let me scroll down real quick.
Because they officially released times, dates, and venues for the first 9 rounds.
Yep.
And then dates and venues for 10 through 23 to get a little more flexibility for days and such.
Yeah, it looks like round 12 you guys will be playing. And 18 maybe. They got rid of numbers by the time I got down there, but 2 late season matchups there, which could play a big role in the top 8. So there you go. We're gonna get into a lot of Aussie rules come the spring, and we'll get Eric on even more, especially during the summertime, the summer breaks, for sure. While we got you on, how you feeling about the hockey season?
Oh, little bit of controversy with Joel Quenneville, but everything, I get it. It was a move that had to be done. I'm not mad. But Randy, leave it to your Kraken to break the home streak. We were 11-0 at FLA Live Arena to start the year. What happens? Y'all just roll up and decide, you know what? We're going to beat you 4-1. Little disappointed, but
Kraken have been kind of red hot until they faced the Penguins the other day and lost that one like 6-2. I have to say, I've not watched as much hockey as I was hoping to, but there's a lot more goals scored than I remember in hockey. Like they figured out how to score again, which is it makes it more entertaining.
A little bit more tweaks to the floating offside rule, things like that, to where you get the puck, it's more advantage. So leading for a lot more breakaways. I'm all for it. We got a hot start. Now let's see if we can actually win a playoff series for the first time since '96.
All right,
Fingers crossed.
We'll keep you on here because I'm going to need your help as far as the trivia question goes, I have a feeling. But just looking at our standings right now for the NHL picks, again, we only did the top 5 for NHL and NBA this year. I am beating Robert 161-141 as far as points go for NHL. Just a reminder, I have Colorado, Toronto, Florida, Minnesota, and Seattle's kind of holding me down with the 20 points. But Robert,
you were smart, though. You picked Florida. This is why you're winning.
Yeah, Florida and Toronto both give me 38 points. Minnesota with 37 is helping me out there. For Robert, doing pretty good with Tampa Bay with 36 points, Carolina with 35 points, but Vegas and Boston not living up to their preseason hype so far. And then the New York Islanders have not gone well for you at all. They only have 17 points on the season, which is definitely helping me. But on the flip side, in the NBA, you continue to pull away even more. Yeah, Robert's teams are 81-40 on the year. My teams are 70-51. My teams are the Bucks, the Lakers, the Jazz, the Mavs, and the Heat. All over 500, minus the Mavs, who are 1 game back. So I'm happy with it so far. But it's tough when Robert has the Warriors and the Suns, who are combined 40-8 on the year. He also has the Nets, the 76ers, and the Trailblazers. So I'm happy with hockey. Not surprised with NBA because you crushed me last year in that aspect as well. Before we get into this, Worcester don't get enough airtime. We'll just quickly touch on the lockout. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about it. Do either of you believe that baseball will get this figured out before pitchers and catchers are supposed to report? I agree with Eric.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't. I think they'll miss the first couple of weeks, but I think they try to get it done. I mean, I know the minimum wage thing is one of the main things, which will be interesting. But I don't think they want the main season to go too far because, I mean, they're already hurting pocketbooks as it is from COVID. So I think they get a deal done. I think spring training gets a little bit affected, but I think spring training is a little bit too long for baseball. So,
do any regular season games get affected?
With that being said, I say no. I think they try to get something done, early March, mid-March, and hopefully starting.
I think maybe. Because obviously you're going to have, once you get it done, you're going to have to get a spring training in there. It might be a shorter spring training. And you have so many players that can't talk to teams to get their free agency figured out. And you're going to have time for that. It's going to be a crazy time when they finally make a deal.
I'm going to be honest because, as you said, Robert, minimum wage, but also service time, free agency, how those get in. There's still a little bit of part about expanded playoffs. The only thing that I've seen that the league and the players have in common is the universal DH.
Yeah, that's happening. That's going down.
But
I think we'll too.
if anything, you're going to see like what happened when the strike ended in 95. It's probably going to be sometime in April. You're going to have spring training for about 2 weeks. They hastily put together a schedule and on you go. I don't know if it's going to be 144 games. I would judge thereabouts, but I think that's the most that we see because with how things are one side and the other not willing to budge, I think this is going to take a while.
Like, honestly, before the labor stoppage, when obviously that was coming along and we knew it was all going to happen, I was dead set on there was going to be a stoppage, and that's why we saw so many free agents sign early. But it wasn't until their last meeting where I threw up the uh-oh flag. When your last meeting before the labor stoppage happens lasts for 7 minutes, that's not good. Where if this is your last chance to at least see where you're at and try to like piece things together to go, okay, now we can work on this for the next month or two and at least we're close. But for a meeting like that, of that epic proportions to last 7 minutes, they're not close.
No, it's a chasm. And especially the main thing is going to be service time. Looking at all of the talking points, that's the one that really stuck out with me. And you're going to be hearing those words a lot as we go rest of December, January. So be prepared.
Sports that don't get enough airtime. Something that we put in the local paper on Tuesday that was interesting to read. The drama with the Olympics. Do you expect the United States to participate this season, this year?
Me personally, because I think they're too close, and the way that the U.S. and now potentially Australia is framing it, yes, we're going to have athletes participating, but that's pretty much it. I think now that we're talking a little under 2 months, 7.5 weeks, it would be way too much of a U-turn to decide, all right, nobody's going to go. That would throw everything into chaos.
Would they do what Russia did, though completely different circumstances because Russia got banned, but allow their athletes to participate, but they would be under a different flag?
See, I don't necessarily think so because it's like with some of this, yes, you're right. There was bans, drug testing, and all of that. It's like you're not doing anything wrong individually. You're still representing your country. You're going to be the only ones representing your countries. So I don't see it going that far.
All right, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's too far gone to them not. What the heck?
I'm trying to get rid of it. Don't worry.
Okay.
The old spams.
Yeah, I gotta love it. I kind of agree. I think they're going to get to the point where the United States is going to go. I don't think we'll see a lot of the extra people going, but it's too late to turn around. I think they'll get it. But as far as any extra people over there that are that aren't participating but are part of the Olympic Committee for the United States, I don't see a lot of those people being there.
Yeah, because as they've mentioned, it's a diplomatic boycott. It's like you go ahead, you go participate, go into your events, which I'm all for, especially with the new ones like Monobob, the one-person bobsled. That's totally awesome. But any other like officials, high-ranking heads of state, they've already decided that's non-starter. So I think that's going to be the extent of it.
All right, Robert, you had one more piece of sports there, which is what I was thinking maybe Eric did.
Actually, I have two. Let's talk a little bit really quick. There is a golf tournament this weekend. I love the format. It is the QBE shootout happening down near Eric's place, down near Naples. I know you're a little ways away, but round one is the scramble. Round two is the modified alternate shot. And round three is the 4-ball. So that takes place this next weekend. So
and don't forget, Tiger's going to play in the PNC Championship with his kid.
Yes, and that is coming up too. But
Ooh.
the biggest news, and I don't know, I bet Eric already knows this. It is time for CFL's Grey Cup. The Grey Cup happening this weekend. Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on Hamilton Tiger Cats Sunday, 3:00. Who do you got, Eric?
Bombers repeat. I honestly, the way that Hamilton has had to come from behind, and let's face facts, Toronto was supposed to be the class of the Eastern Division, even though only going 9-5. Look at how well that they got beat. I'm sorry, Bombers, they set themselves up wire to wire. It's theirs to lose again.
All right, sir. It is this time for sports history.
Yeah, this week in sports history, I'm going to keep it really short. 1951 future Hall of Famer wide receiver Don Hutson has his number 14 retired by the Green Bay Packers. It is the first number that the Packers retire in franchise history. 1981, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar passes Oscar Robertson to become the second all-time leading scorer behind Wilt Chamberlain. 1991, U.S. Open Payne Stewart wins only one hole in the Skins game at La Quinta and sets a record for $260,000 won on that hole. And 2018, ownership for the Seattle Hockey Group partners with billionaire businessman David Bonderman to unanimously grant an NHL license to Seattle.
Get it back over there. There we go.
There you
All
go.
right, now it is time for some trivia, and I got some backup. I got Eric here. I got
This scares me a
Mr.
bit.
Squid himself. We're ready to go.
This scares me a little bit because I think this might help you out a little. So
Good. That's what I need.
I don't know if I like this or not.
Eric and I are trying to be friends again after he voted against me on our draft. So,
all right, here we go. Don Hudson's number was retired by the Green Bay Packers, was the first one required by the Packers. I would like two parts to this question. How many numbers have been retired by the Packers? And can you tell me the last one?
the last one to be retired. So obviously you're asking me last one because it's not Brett Favre. Because that would be too easy.
That is too easy, and it is correct that it is too easy. So Brett Favre is the last one to be retired. So
cool. So I got that part. So Eric, you get the other part of the question.
You said no.
Well, because I was thinking wait, they hadn't retired his number yet because I know there was like this whole big ceremony, and especially with Woodson, and I would have thought they would have had to retire his number, even though he also played for the Raiders. So again, I thought Brett Favre would have been way too easy, especially with his acrimonious exit.
So what are we thinking? So Brett Favre retired. Reggie White, is it he retired with Green Bay or is it just Philadelphia?
He retired with Green Bay.
Okay. You got to think Starr is retired there. You got...
You have 3 correct right now.
I know. And obviously you have Hudson, so that's 4.
4.
I'm trying to think of who else would be on there.
Isn't Horning's number retired?
Who?
Paul Horning, number 5. Wow. Even after all this time.
And obviously coaches don't have numbers, so Lombardi doesn't have anything retired. So we got 4. I'm going to say we're missing a couple of older ones. I'll say 6.
Because of their history, I was going to actually aim a little bit higher. I was thinking closer to like 10, but they're picky.
Look at me. Look at
6.
me. Look at me. Don't even take the advice.
They didn't even need my help for once after all this time.
Right.
So the one that I did not know was number 3, Tony Canadeo. But you missed one of the best defensive guys to ever play the game, number 66, Ray Nitschke.
I was thinking Nitschke. I had it in my head, and I was figuring out who he was. Oh,
I'm still calling that a win. I'm very happy with it since I lost my first sports draft, which sucks because we were going to do this judge thing every time, and now Eric has been banned from being a judge.
So what? You can ban me from being a judge, yet we welcome you on to help break ties for what game shows we're going to decide to do. I see how it is, Randy.
Well,
I see
you got me
exactly
to-
how it is.
Just
Yeah,
give me a
Eric-
call. Give me a call, Eric.
Yeah, he wanted me to do a video, and they're like, "Nah, we won't need you." And then they went, we'll just do what he said anyways." And then they did their thing. But I
That's
picked the
because
correct one.
it was a whole thing. I was like, hey, we have this whole bit that we want to plan. But then everybody else was like, no, we want to know ahead of time so we can do research. I was right there with you. I'm like, let me know right when we're on the air.
Well, no, honestly, I was, as far as we could, say that you guys are getting it last second, but you could have the research ready. It's like, I didn't want to like blindside people, because I know that podcast, which is Life is Like a Game Show. Go check it out on wherever you can listen to podcasts, and it's on YouTube as well. And what is it? Facebook and Twitch that you stream on?
And Twitter as well.
And Twitter. Yeah, that's a new thing. We need to add that to ours too. They like to do deep dives on game shows, and so I didn't want to like blindside them on something they want to do deep dives on. But I'm ready. March is coming. Gotta get that bracket ready for the game show and get the Rancid Randy title back. But so Eric, thanks so much for jumping on. I know you've been itching to talk sports that are not soccer with the kickoff taking their break.
I mean, look, I'm willing to debate like onside and everything else, but again, especially on a day as fortuitous as today, I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
Yep. And with winter break coming up, we'll try to get Eric on some more. Maybe he'll be the guest judge again. We'll try to find some other people just throwing in for guest judge. I kind of like this idea. It was literally, we had just got done talking with Corey, and I went, you know what? Like, Eric's on. He knows his bowl game stuff. This would be kind of interesting. And obviously, I knew the WSU Miami thing was coming up, and he was going to have comments. So I was like, all right, we got to see if Eric will hop on.
Hey, maybe we get him to come on. We're going to pick a few bowl games. Randy and I will talk about it over the next few days. We'll have a group of bowl games. Maybe we'll put it on the Facebook site. We'll get you back on, get your picks too. How about that, Eric?
Count me in.
Perfect. So Eric
Always.
joining us here at the end, obviously a friend of the show. He's been here since day one, obviously with the kickoff. And Life is Like a Game Show. And is it Soccer to the Max? Is that the title?
Soccer to the Max, and we have our other show that's not on hiatus, League to the Max, or whatever, for those of you who happen to be into League of Legends, or random jokes that may or may not entirely be appropriate, but this is me we're talking about.
Eric has never said an inappropriate joke in his life.
No.
I just time it all the time when they talk the other football game, that other thing. I give him and Sean a bad time. So
And speaking of that,
other football.
and speaking of W2M Network, after this show here in a couple hours, I will be a guest on Video Games to the Max, which I'm battling with this cold that hit me yesterday, but I can't skip out on it because Sean Garmer was in a car wreck this weekend. And he's still going to do the show. I told him, I was like, I used to flip Eric and Sean both crap. It's like, you can't have a podcast unless you have at least a consistent schedule that you're coming out every week. Obviously, our schedule is all goofed up, and now we're running long, but who cares? We're having fun. But at least we're trying to come out every single week as much as possible. Obviously, life comes up, different things happen, and we're not getting paid for any of this stuff, so it's all entertainment. But if you want to build the audience, you got to be here every week. And Sean's like, you're still in for the podcast? I'm like, are you? Hey, I just saw a picture of you in this giant neck brace. He's doing fine, last I heard. But
yeah, I saw that too. And he's like, yeah, are you good for tomorrow for Soccer to the Max? And I'm like, yes. Okay.
So check that out. Facebook and YouTube, Video Games to the Max. We're getting our preparation done for our Game of the Year edition. I'm trying to jam pack as many games as I can as school kind of wraps up. But I want to again thank one more time Eric Watkins for hopping on and always been a big part of the show. Thanks to Corey Thivierge for coming on. That was a fantastic time with him. Good friend of both of ours. Good 25, 30-minute chat there. Obviously, go root Clarkston Wrestling. Go root out all of the local sports. We're trying to build this stuff up. That's part of what we love about this show is trying to connect people with local high school sports. We talk national stuff because that's just the easier stuff to talk about, but trying to bring in new faces and get a spotlight on some of these sports. And it's been absolutely fantastic. Eric, one last thing.
Think globally, act locally.
There you go. Beautifully said. So next week, definitely check out the R&R Sports Report Facebook pages for updates. I'm going to guess it will be a Wednesday show at the moment. Whether it will be before wrestling or after wrestling kind of just depends on what kind of fits. But expect a Wednesday show next week and then a Tuesday show after that. And keep it right here with the R&R Sports Report. We're going to have a double dose of connections for you with the pick'ems that Robert will put out and then our draft. So if you agree with Eric that Robert won, definitely let us know. And if you disagree and you think I won, I can't even argue this one because, like Eric said, it's so close between those. I think we both went really chalk, and it was really fun to do. So Robert will have next week's draft.
You lose because you don't like the Idaho Potato Bowl. Just saying.
You didn't pick it either. So, anyways, for Eric, for Robert, I'm Randy. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. About 5 minutes late, but we are